So we're going to talk about supercells, and I want to say, like I said before, these storms are the most dangerous portion of the storm as far as severe weather, as far as producing destructive tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail. This is a supercell. This is radar. This is a radar from I think June 15th of 2023. This is the same storm that moved through Toledo. And if you can see a swirl, that's the supercell right there. This storm dropped 3 separate tornadoes across Huron County. Most of them were EF1s to EF2s. No fatalities and no injuries, just structural damage. So I'm going to talk about the thunderstorm hazards. So thunderstorms can have all types of different hazards, but the main thing that we really look for is tornadoes, wind, and hail. So we're going to kind of exclude flash flooding for now. So straight line winds, thunderstorms, they actually can mimic a tornado if you're not keen on what you're looking at and how to identify it. Straight line winds, they're outflow from a thunderstorm that blows everything down in one direction. It's very widespread, and a tornado is usually going to be very extreme, a narrow path. From the air, it's going to look like everything is pushed out in one direction, but if you're on the field, everything is mowed down, so you think maybe there was a tornado. I don't see any twisting or any limbs or any trees that's thrown back in one direction. So the fingerprints of a downburst or outflow winds is going to be in the one direction. In a derecho or squall line, those are newly cells that's continuously developing as the old cells are decaying. So you have that nice sheared environment where you have a nice southerly flow and then maybe a northwest flow at about 10 to 15, 20,000 feet. The updrafts can be very strong along the line, but you can have strong downdraft resulting in large hail and strong to damaging winds. The true definition, just like a blizzard has a true definition of 1/4 mile blowing snow or snow falling lasting for 3 hours. A derecho type storm is going to last for almost 240 miles as a kind of a definition, with at least 58 mile per hour winds continuous, and then you're going to have widespread several gusts in there around 75 to 80 miles an hour. This is the derecho from that storm that I just showed you, those 2 storms. All the reports in yellow are wind. These are hail reports in blue, some wind reports, and that's rain reports. Yellow is going to be wind, and these little triangles here in red are tornadoes. Oh, you go too fast, Fred. So what about hail? When I looked at the reports, and I was actually talking about the WEA, the Wireless Emergency Alert System, and as you know, we issue a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. So are we going to overuse the WEA, the Wireless Emergency Alert System, during a severe thunderstorm? I looked at the records back to 2013, and I wanted to see what was the occurrence of the WEA if it was in effect that far back. So I looked at all the wind reports of all the severe storms, and it occurred 40 times, not just for Seneca County, for the state of Ohio. We've had hail that's baseball-sized hail only 10 times. So this type of derecho is going to be covered with the WEA alert. Those baseball-sized hail you see there. And so what's happening in a storm is you get these updrafts of water droplets that actually collect as ice, or they become ice, and then they fall back down, and then they get caught back up in the updraft again. This may occur 3 or 4 times as that hailstone grows. If it occurs one time, and I would say 80% of thunderstorms have some kind of hail, but it's going to melt before it reaches the ground. So you may have gotten caught out in a thunderstorm, and you took that shower getting out, trying to avoid it, and you notice that shower is cold. That's because it's coming from the upper parts of the atmosphere of that storm, and those rain droplets that you're feeling possibly was hail at one time. It just melted on the way down. Well, what if it get caught back up there in the updraft? So you may have that hail growth that grows over a continuous time. Maybe 2 trips, maybe 3 trips. That could occur. No, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I was close. I have my timing down to. I added that at the Weather Prediction Center because I wanted to include that information. So that's what extended a little bit. So this is the hail damage that occurred. It's wind-blown hail that occurs on the rear flank of the storm. The hail probably wasn't that large. It wasn't baseball size, probably golf ball size hail, and it's blowing sideways. You've been in a situation where the rain is blowing sideways, except this time it had hail. So this is a manufactured home, and it looked like it went through a drive-by, but it went through hail. On the top right there, that's in the eastern portions of Colorado. That's not snow, that's hail drifts. So that storm was very efficient at producing a lot of hail. It's in the summertime. Then you have, of course, a chaser that did a hail punch, and they actually got bombarded with their car with a lot of hail. So we'll go ahead and go through that. You already had your 10-minute break. I updated these slides here. Thunderstorm hazards of tornadoes. Tornadoes come in all different forms and shapes. The United States sees almost 1,400 tornadoes annually. When I first was given this report, I think Owens probably remember, I had 1,300 on there. I had to update that number. True definition of violent rotating column of air that extends from a thunderstorm that's in contact with the ground. So you may not see the actual funnel condensation cloud there, but it's still, if you have debris on the ground, that is considered a tornado, whether it be a wedge or a rope. They're also rated based off the strength, and I kind of showed that how many tornadoes we've had, 73 tornadoes. Most of them were EF0s, EF1s. There was a weak variety. If a EF0, EF1 strikes your home, it's not weak to you. It still can throw debris around, and if you're caught in that debris, a 10 or something like that, it can cause quite a bit of damage, or maybe cause death. 65 to 85 for EF0, 86 to 110 for EF1s. Most of the storms that I've seen in our area over the last 4 years have been EF2s, EF1s, and EF0s. EF4s and EF5s are the violent tornadoes. Those are the ones that cause the most fatalities. The Logan tornado was an EF3, caused 3 fatalities. I would tell you, manufactured homes and tornadoes are not a good mix. They're just not. So if you live in a manufactured home, you better have a plan if there's a tornado warning to get to a location that's a sturdy building. It is not a good mix. Almost 50% of the fatalities occur in mobile homes. I used to have the numbers. Of course, Texas has more mobile homes than any other, not because of, it's Texas, they have a lot, but they have a lot of manufactured homes down in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. And so that's why you see a lot of the deaths that occur, but some of these mobile homes are 50, 60, 70 years old. Some of them are not tied down, and when that happens, a lot of them turn over, they spin, and it's not a good site to do a survey on that type of damage. So I'm going to have you guys look at this map here. I see Texas has 115, Colorado 46, North Dakota 20, New York 8. Look at Ohio 30. Remember, we're at 73. The previous record was 62 in 1992. We had 3 fatalities so far. In 1992, we did not have any fatalities. You're well aware that the last fatality we had up north, at least the north half, was in Lucas about 12 years ago. So just take again and kind of look at those numbers, look down south, look on the Plain State, look at Florida, and I'm going to ask you a question. So I'm going to give away some books, see if you kind of wake the crowd up here, but I'm going to ask you a little bit later. So far, 2024, we've had 1,670 tornadoes. Our average is 1,355. So we're above average. The High Plains has been busy. How does that compare to other years? Where we should be right around, where's that number? I think right around 1,200. Is that it right there? We should be around 1,200. So I updated this yesterday just to get a good count. These are all the different years. We're right there at 1,600. There's another year that's up there, 2011. And if you're kind of a tornado person, you kind of keep up with it, you know 2011 was a bad year for down south in the southeast. That's the Tuscaloosa tornadoes, that outbreak that occurred. And they had a lot of storms, and almost 300 to 400 storms in a 2-day period right there. We had a lot of storms too. We got ahead. The Midwest got started early this year. I had a gentleman come up to me that, does global warming has an effect on it? Indirectly. In our shoulder seasons, we're warmer. September was warm. We're not supposed to be that warm in late September. Late February into March, we were very warm. That's what I mean by shoulder season. Those are fall and winter. You give that opportunity for storms to occur, you're going to have storms, you're going to have that number increase. And that's what's happening in the Midwest. A lot of opportunities for storms to develop. Doesn't necessarily is a strong correlation because we've had warm winters, we've had warm falls. This year we just had a lot of systems that develop, and just you get warm, get cold, get warm, get cold. It kind of happens down in the Mid-South, not here. It's supposed to stay cold. When it's warm, stay warm. When it's cold, stay cold. Now we're getting this hiccups, and we're getting rain in the middle of I'm kind of ranting a little bit because we get rain in January. We're not supposed to have rain in January. We've had occurrences of that in the last 5 years. It's supposed to be all snow. So I'm going to try to give away some books. Had you guys look at this. What are the top 5 states? I changed this to top 3 because I updated this. If you've been to a couple of my Skywarn, you know the answer to this, but I actually have 5 in there to throw kind of a curveball. What are the top 5 states with the highest occurrence of tornadoes per square mile? So I'm going to go and put that on a map and you kind of get an idea. And you guys can raise your hand and let me know. I will give you a field guide. I heard Mississippi. Hold on, I got one book, so I heard Mississippi. What? I heard Alabama. No. I heard Alabama. Okay. Okay, now, maybe one at a time or raising. You had said Alabama? I heard a Kansas. Did I hear a Kansas? Where did I hear Kansas? Okay, there's several people said Kansas. So I'm going to give 3 more books. I want to give these all away. But I don't have 100. So I heard a Kansas here. I heard a Kansas where? I heard a Kansas here, and I heard a Kansas somewhere else. Where did I hear Kansas? Well, you guys are coming out with Kansas all over the place here. Oh my, I may be running out here. I'm gonna get you over here. And if you don't get one, I have a QR code to actually look at the field guide online, but I know, I got it? Heard of Kansas here.
Right here.
Oh, there's a Kansas here. Okay. I think those are the top 3 there, but there are other 2 in there, I believe, but I'm running out of books here because I got one more answer. I got a couple of more answers, so. Here you go. Yeah, all right, thank you. All right, it's not working. Oh, the batteries came out. Okay, here we go. I changed it, and I don't remember myself. I know there's some others. I heard Iowa. That's the first time I'm hearing Iowa. So if you have one already, okay. All the way back. All the way back. Okay, so I heard Iowa. Where did I hear Iowa? Okay, I only have 3 left, so let me get the flip on this one. Iowa, who wants?
Iowa, right here.
Okay, she wants it more than you. She said right here, so. All right, we're going to go ahead and look at this. This is per square mile. Mississippi, Alabama, Kansas, Iowa, and I didn't hear in Illinois. Didn't hear Illinois. That's new. Oklahoma's 9. So there's 3 tied with 10. 13 Mississippi. Those are different. If you've been to the actual Skywarn, those are different numbers. This is per square mile. So even though Texas had 115 for the state, per square mile, they only get 4. So that's how those numbers can kind of, make the numbers do what you want it to do. But those are the states that really get the most. This 12 was actually included in 2011. Nope. And so those numbers are going to be slanted a little bit for Alabama, 12 and 13. And Kansas, of course, we grew up with Dorothy. So we know that Kansas get a lot of tornadoes. So what part of the month they get the tornadoes? So this is kind of a meteorological season. December, January, February are the actual meteorological winter. Is in blue. We get 6 tornadoes across the state from 1950 to 2022 in the state of Ohio. So no month is immune to tornadoes, but the majority of our tornadoes are going to occur in the spring and summer. March, April and May, and June, July, and August. And then we have a secondary surge in October and November. Again, 73 tornadoes. We averaged 30. That's how much we are. We had tornadoes in the early season that really got us off, and we were actually leading across the United States as far as tornadoes back in March. But the Midwest and the High Plains really caught on. The Southeast has been very quiet as far as tornadoes for the most part. What about flooding? Flooding can be an issue. As we know, looking down south in the southern Appalachian, that bridge is possibly washed out. Water is actually over the road. That's not a Honda Civic. That's a Chevy Avalanche that's being swept away in 8 inches of water. So if the water is flowing, do not cover. Actually, if the road is covered, do not try to attempt to go over the road. So you can see the road can be washed out. Lightning can be a threat as well, but this is a generational thing. How many of you guys played Little League football back in the 70s? Anybody? Don't tell me I'm the only one that played Little League football in the 70s. 70s, that's when I played Little League football. Come on. No? Oh, you graduated in the 70s. Okay. Did anybody play Little League football in the 60s? No? Okay. Okay. This is since my parents were the silent generation, they were not boomers, they were silent generation. The coaches, even though you could hear thunder, we still practice. That's not going to occur today. That's the generational change that's occurred. We become aware, and also we don't want to be in a situation where there's lawsuits. So that's the other thing there. Generation is DWIs, people driving under the influence. That number has come down. Remember, MAD was very involved. It take a generational change. And that occurred with lightning as well. Most people, because we were an agricultural powerhouse, and we still are, we did a lot of our work outside. And so the lightning deaths were very high back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. As we moved in, the lightning deaths went down, but also a generational change has occurred. As the storm is approaching, we still think we have enough time to get something out. We want to do another hole. Maybe I want to stay on the lake a little bit longer. I know there's a storm approaching from the west. I can stay on the lake a little bit longer. That's when the interface of the storm approaching and your threat increases right there at the beginning. And then at the end, you think the thunderstorm is over. It's dissipated. One last strike could occur. And so your exposure is high when the thunderstorm is ahead. above, but it can increase. It's actually increasing as the storm is approaching. We think we have enough time, and I'm talking to the men out here because 80% of the lightning strikes occur with us. We're fishing. We're fishing. We're golfing. We're doing a lot of things outdoors in the summertime. Or there's a lightning strike that occur and you have roofers on your house. They want to get the job done. So the person, the contractor say, hey, we want to get this done today. There's a storm. I know we want to get it done. Get them off your house. You'll never be able to live with yourself if somebody gets struck by lightning on your house. This is what's happening. Storm is approaching. Storm is over here. You have a strike that's well ahead, well away. That person thinks it's safe over there. This happens if you go to South Carolina on the beach. The storm is 3 miles away. You hear it, go inside. You still can get a lightning strike on the beach. It's almost every year that occurs. All right, I'm going to give these two away. I got two left, so if I hear the first word here, two of them left. What weather hazard kills more people in the United States? I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. Who said it? Heat. Wasn't a trick question. Heat. No, I'm not throwing curveballs here, guys. Here you go, sir. Heat. This is 2023, and that number is low. I think the city of Phoenix, Mariposa County, that I think is a suburb, they have a very extensive heat calculation of how they calculate the deaths. And actually, they covered almost 600 deaths as of last year. Last year was an extremely warm summer for the southern tier states. Warmer than normal. It's almost like having probably like 10 or 15 days below 0 degrees in the wintertime. That's how warm it was down there. And I can tell you, as a population, we are aging, and we're used to the inside climate. I can tell you this because I remember hearing some of the Olympics that were over in France, and they were complaining that the village did not have AC. We were the only ones that were complaining about the AC. The United States, no one else. We use AC a lot more in this country than any other, even Mexico, where they're kind of closer to the equator, they don't use it as much as we do. We're at 90% as far as usage. I think Mexico's around 50%. And then maybe the Americans that moved to Mexico City, I'm not sure. But those numbers are very high. Texas had over 500 deaths. So I know those numbers are not calculated in there. The CDC reported almost 2,500 deaths that occurred as far as deaths. Those are deaths due to heat-related, and they're a combination of things that are going on. The population's aging, the power grid is stressed. Sometimes when we have a storm that comes through, it's a secondary death. Maybe they don't have the weather. They don't have the means to go to a place to cool them off. I was talking to somebody here, I'm not sure, I was talking about taking care of your elderly parents. I had a cousin that she's in her early 60s, and Hurricane Irma hit. And this is in South Florida, and it was hot afterwards. And I did not know. She had diabetes. She was 82. She died 4 days afterwards. My cousin was in the house with her mother, my aunt, and she died. I did not know this. And a lot of times as a cousin, you don't tell your other cousin how you take care of their parents. That's a no-no. Sometimes you have to kind of push on the toes a little bit, but I did not know that she died. Same time, they had in Hollywood, they had a nursing home that was in Hollywood, Florida. They had 17 people that died. They had no air conditioning after Hurricane Irma, out of power. They didn't know what to do, and they had people dying. If you read up on the story, you'll see that because of the elements, it comes as a secondary threat. So during a derecho where the storms are sweeping down, it may be hot afterwards. That's when those deaths occur. It kind of sneaks up as a kind of a second secondary punch to the gut when you kind of hit one way and then you hit another one. How many Elvis fans out here? Any Elvis fans? Come on, don't be shy. I know you guys. I know I can smell Elvis fans. My mom was an Elvis fan. In the profile, I did not say I worked in Tupelo. So when I first started in Tupelo for about 8 months, and did not know my mom was an Elvis fan. She said, "I want to go to the birthplace. I want to go to the birthplace." Oh, okay, go to their birthplace. If you go to Google, type in Hurricane Elvis. Hurricane Elvis is a storm or derecho that hit the Memphis area, and most of those areas, it was back in 2003, they were out of power for almost a week to almost 2 weeks. They had a lot of deaths that occurred because it was a secondary factor to the power being out and still being hot. And so that's how it's a silent killer. And I just want you to be aware of that it can cause a lot of problems. It's been not only this year, last 10 years, and also last 30 years. This is actually a chart of flooding, lightning, tornadoes, hurricanes. In 2003, we had 3. That's going to go up. Average 48 is coming down. Look at these other ones here. Rip current's been added because of the Carolinas and the Florida Panhandle. Wind is there. Cold and winter, you're kind of thinking, well, cold and winter is the same thing. Not really. Cold is exposure. And it's not what you think as far as people being out and homeless or something like that. It is exposure where the power's out, or maybe the power's out and people are sitting in their home and they freeze to death in their home. That's cold. Winter is more or less a death that's occurred because of a winter storm or a winter storm pileup. So that's how those categories are kind of calculated. Most of our severe weather reports are going to be mostly wind damage associated with severe storms. Almost 18,000 from the year of 2023, 1,423. We're above average last year. Hail reports almost 7,000. Identifying ominous clouds, and we need to talk about the structure, how to identify it, what you're looking at. Does this look normal? Does this not look normal? In these field guides, this tells you an idea of how this looks as far as the field guide. I got some notes on there. Somebody got some notes on there. But I will actually give you a website to actually get the field guide in a PDF, and you can kind of look at it online. Okay, we're going to talk about tornadoes, funnel clouds, wall clouds, chef clouds, roll clouds, scud, scary-looking cloud, cumulifractus or lookalikes, the context of it, rotation, is it touching the ground, is there debris, is it sloping towards or away from the rain. So we're going to talk about the supercell storm. We're going to talk about the structure of the chef cloud. These are all the parts of overshooting, the anvil here, the flanking line. I didn't say this when I showed the actual manufactured home with the hail that's on the side. That can occur on the flanking line. That doesn't occur that much up here. That's mostly down south of the high plains. We're going to talk about the chef cloud. So it's a horizontal chef cloud on the leading edge of the thunderstorm. So it's actually when you're out, you see this leading edge coming towards you, kind of feel that coldness to the air. That's the chef cloud. That's that upper parts of that thunderstorm collapsing and pushing out an outflow. And it's undercutting the updraft. Signal the approach of gusty winds and possible hail and heavy rain. So you can see it's a cold, dense air. Downdraft is dense. And then it's also lifting that moist up, less dense air into the storm. And so you get that interaction and you get the chef cloud, kind of a horizontal roll. Sometimes the interaction has caused a horizontal rotation. You can see that rotation, and it's a very large feature. So it's not like you see it just right here. It may extend the whole horizon. You may get a roll cloud where the apparent thunderstorm has fully collapsed and the roll cloud exists. You may see a lot of pictures on the shores of Lake Erie of these storms kind of rolling off. They collapse and you see these roll clouds rolling in. You see a lot of pictures. They see it on the TV. Need to know if you see this, you don't need to call that in. It's nice to take a picture of it because it looks like a spaceship, but you don't need to call it in. So identifying a chef cloud, this is kind of hard to see, and then I was initially going to eliminate this from the slide deck, but I wanted to keep it in there because I want to show some context of the difference between a chef cloud and a wall cloud. So this is difficult to see. Again, the hint here is always it's going to be slanted towards the rain, but what if you don't know where the rain is? So you see there maybe this is a rain shaft here, and you see the chef cloud right here. You don't know, is it slanting towards or away from the rain? It looked like it's slanting towards me. So I'm kind of trained at looking at that, I can kind of tell. But different vantage points will show different things. Here's one. Look for the dark area of the rain, and you look for the chef cloud, it's slanting away. And again, it's a big feature. Here's one here. The rain is in the foreground here, but look how it's kind of, I'm good with this analogy. It looks like a hubcap that's kind of leaning towards you. I don't know if they still make hubcaps. Yeah, but it's leaning towards you. So it's leaning away from the rain. The rain is not occurring at your location. Again, this is the location here. You see it kind of rolling in. The rain is in the background there, and so you kind of see this chef cloud kind of moving in. Chef cloud can look different in different locations. So this is not a very good vantage point. And I don't see the rain shaft either. So I wouldn't know what I'm looking at. I'm not going to tell you to go to, hey, can you go a little bit further, 15 miles to get a better look? No. If you're in a location, you don't know what you're looking at. I won't say you don't know what you're looking at. If you don't have a good vantage point, that's okay. So now we're going to talk about the wall cloud. And this will kind of solidify what the chef cloud is and what the wall cloud. It's a very small feature. It is the spine of the storm. So it's actually very strong updrafts going into it. The downdraft is going to be on the leading edge of the storm here, where you have rain that's falling. You could have some hail over here, but then you also have this collapse is coming down and spreading out. The wall cloud is going to be leaning towards that source of moisture, almost like it's sipping it for fuel. And the wall cloud is going to be rotating. This is what we see on radar. This is actually probably the actual chef cloud here. A lot of rain, maybe some hail in here. This may be the circulation here as far as the wall cloud, the circulation of the storm. This is the flanking line. That's where you possibly may get some hail in there as well. That's where the wind-blown hail is going to be occurring, if there's a chance of that occurring. This is a supercell. Not all supercells are going to produce tornadoes, but it's going to have a significant amount of wind with it, hail. It's going to be rotating, so there is a chance of a funnel cloud or tornado developing. Rotating, lowering of the thunderstorm updraft base. So it's actually updraft going up into it, but it's lowering at the same time. That's a strong feature. Often precedes a funnel cloud or tornado, indicates strong updraft. Here's a situation here. This is not filters or anything. It has that kind of green hue. If you see a green hue to a storm, that's a good indication that storm has ice in it. Large hailstones in that storm, or hailstones in that storm. Forgot which one was it. So you have downdraft, rain crew occurring here, going to the chef cloud, but also spreading there. You can see the actual wall cloud here. It's going to be rotating. Look at that tail kind of sipping that moisture there, leaning over. Here's another feature, kind of opposite direction here. Downdraft here, spreading out. And you have that rotation going up here, and also that tail that's leaning into that moisture, kind of feeding itself. Wall clouds versus chef cloud. Rotating, slope towards the rain, and call in rotating wall clouds. That's when you call it in. because that's the first indicator that maybe a funnel cloud or a tornado is going to develop. Chef clouds, there I go again. Go back. Slopes away from the rain, no need to call it in. Maybe a big feature on your cell phone, and it looks like a spaceship, but there's no need to call that in. Funnel cloud kind of is a tornado. It is a thunderstorm with the circulation rotation that's underneath the wall cloud. Rotation is the key. It's very smooth, but it's not in contact with the ground. But it may become a tornado soon. That's why we need that call. Anytime there's a wall cloud, funnel cloud, and definitely a tornado. Tornado is just that funnel that's in contact, or tornado is in contact with the ground, with debris. You see the wall cloud there, and you have the debris around it, nice condensation there. Remember, the amount of damage does not indicate whether or not there is a tornado. So it could be any kind of wind or something like that after the fact. So tornadoes versus, I got that. Oh, I saw that O by itself. What are you doing? I don't know if you I corrected it on mine, but I see it's by itself. But yeah, make contact with the ground. So in contact with the ground, funnel cloud not in contact with the ground, the entire tornado may not be visible. So it may just see the debris. You may not see that condensation reaching all the way down. That could happen as well. And it's also vertical. So rapidly rotating clouds, smooth edges. That's the tip. Smooth edges. You're looking for that. Scud, scary looking cloud. Strata, cumulus, underdeck. Cumulus fractus, that's the kind of scientific name. Harmless, ragged clouds, they do not rotate. They can move up and down, so it's showing some vertical extent of moving up and down, but responsible for many of the false calls that we get. Wall clouds, they say, I see a wall cloud. We even get photos still today. And that's okay. People, you hear there's a tornado threat tomorrow. And so people have in their mind, well, anything I see, I'm going to take a picture. But sometimes it may look ragged like this. It may be a smokestack that's been in town for 40 years. Today it's a tornado. Scud, they can look ragged versus a very smooth, rapidly rotating cloud. Wall clouds and chef clouds slanted towards or away from the rain. That's the big difference there. Also, at this hint here, if it fits in your phone viewer, it's probably a wall cloud. If it doesn't fit, you got to do the pan feature. It's probably a chef cloud. So, tornadoes, funnel clouds, rapidly rotating, edges are very smooth. So now we're going to do name that cloud, but we're just kind of looking at these rapidly rotating. I don't see debris here, so it looked like that may be a funnel cloud, but it's very smooth. Again, tornado and funnel clouds, rapidly rotating, smooth edges there. Scud, they're harmless, do not rotate, kind of nail in its home again, kind of repeat, wash, rinse, and repeat. Again, Scud is going to look ragged versus a smooth, like rapidly rotating cloud. Beware of Scud, because that can really kind of throw you off. Beware of your surroundings as well. So we're going to name that cloud. I was hoping I was going to get to that. I already did that, so let's go back. Name that cloud. Is it rapidly rotating on a vertical axis? It's kind of hard to see. It's right here. You would say yes or no? Anybody? It's kind of hard to see with the lights on, so I would say yes. Is it touching the ground? I can't really see if it's touching the ground. I don't think it is. What do we have? We have a funnel cloud. Okay, so I don't see the rain here. This is actually taken from the Cincinnati office. Is it sloped towards or away from the rain? So I don't see the rain, so I don't know if there's a slope. Here's the other hint. Does it fit in my viewer? So I see here, it may extend all the way out here. So what do I have? Chef cloud. don't know if it's sloping towards the rain, but I see a chef cloud. All right, here we have a cloud here. Is it touching the ground? Is it debris? Yeah, it's debris. Is it rapidly rotating on a vertical axis? Is it smooth? Yes. And what do we have? Tornado, all right. All right, name that cloud. Is it rapidly rotating on a vertical axis? Is it smooth or is it ragged? All right, you guys are catching on. Is it touching the ground? No. So what do we have? Scud. Okay. All right, I took this picture when I was in New Orleans. I should not have been on the inflation shelter taking this picture. All right, is it sloping towards or away from the rain? I can't tell where the rain is, so I'm using my second hint. Does it fit in my viewer? What do I have? Shelf. Yeah, shelf. That's like a spaceship. Kind of shelfing. It's kind of coming in from the southwest. All right, I got one local one for you. Is it rapidly rotating on a vertical axis? Is it smooth or ragged? All right. Is it touching the ground? Oh, yeah, so it is touching the ground. I don't know if it's touching the ground. What's going on here? What am I looking at? I'm looking at some scud. How long has Betsy been there? Yeah, I got you. Just seeing if you're waiting for lunch or not. I cheated. Okay. Yeah, I do a lot of driving up and down the road here. I take some pictures and stuff. So, all right, this is from North Carolina. Is it rapidly rotating on a vertical axis? Is it? No. Is it touching the ground? So that looks like scud. Yeah. All right. Most important here, the information. Got that 1-800 number in here, I believe. How to report hazardous weather. Reporting to the National Weather Service. There's different ways to report it. And as soon as it's safe to do so, report as quickly as possible. Never assume that we know. A lot of times we may not know. We had a tornado in, I think it was Lorain County last week that made our 72nd tornado. We did not get that information until 3 days afterwards from a spotter. Sometimes that happens after the fact, especially if it's in a rural area. As opposed to 25 years ago, getting a report 3 months later. So that's still pretty good. If there's some damage done or fatality or something, those reports come in quick. But if it's out in the middle of the field or maybe sometimes those reports come in slow. Know how to get that information. Remain weather aware. You have those sources. You have our website. You have the national sites. You have that information as well. For reports other than tornadoes or significant damage, flooding, consider sending a report digitally. That's on your phone, through email, through web pages, through social media. And keep the report descriptive. Time, event, location. Penny-sized hail, that's subsevere. Wind gusts of 50 miles per hour, that's subsevere. We need that information so we can get an idea of when the storm's going to approach severe limits. Wind and lightning damage. Do not report lightning. We get lightning all the time, but if it causes a fire or split a tree, we need that report as far as lightning. Flooding, tornado, funnel cloud, and wall cloud. No chef clouds, no spaceship clouds. Time, event, location on hail. Report all hail in coin size. Do not report it in marble size because Texas marbles are larger than everybody else's marbles. All right, this is in this book here, so some of you guys have this book, but I have the actual link for you guys to get the PDF. It actually kind of have an indicator of wind hail size, and when we issue the wireless emergency alert system, we're going to issue it when it's baseball size hail. I've seen hail kill cattle. Wow. So if it can kill cattle, it can kill you. Of course, that hail was baseball size hail, teacup size hail. Some of these terms, they don't use anymore, teacup. But again, that's why we use the wireless emergency alert system for the baseball size hail. Time, event, location on wind. We can kind of use the radar to go back to see when that wind occurred. Approximate time is okay. What kind of wind damage? Is there, is the roof blown off? Is there tin blown off? That information. Oh, I'm getting close. 3 minutes left. Oh. The wind estimation, you have that information on some of the quick reference on the wind estimation. I don't know if we had enough papers for that, but that's on a quick reference as well. Give an estimation. Again, large branches of 47 to 54 miles an hour. That's well below severe limits, but those can cause impacts, and our forecasters are now issuing, especially for communities that have a lot of trees, they're issuing for severe storms for branches and trees falling off, hitting cars, and causing a lot of impacts. Time, event, location on funnel clouds and tornadoes. Flooding. If a road is flooded, call the police department non-emergency number to let them know, hey, this road is flooded out. I don't want anybody to go into it and go into a ditch or get in trouble with the flood waters. Do not report lightning unless there's damage. That's our 1-800 number. I think it's on the on the short form, reference form. They call that number. Please do not call for a wedding report of climate. Call for severe weather. That 1-800 number is kind of an old standby from when long distance used to cost money. You can actually email us. Remember, the image has to be below 10 gigs. We're also on Twitter or X. If you tag us on Twitter, if we like your page, that means we have your information, and you could DM us on Facebook as well. On our website, if you go to our website and you can submit it on your PC, go all the way over to the right to local programs and submit reports. It'll open up a form like here, and because we do have people that like to submit false reports, they forget that your IP address is on your phone and on your PC. It has happened already. I think that's pretty much known that people, sometimes they do that. And I think we had a report 2 years ago. Somebody in Arkansas tried to report a tornado in Ohio. That still happens. And then also amateur radios. We're in District 1, and we have the ham operators come into our amateur radios come into our office to help out with severe weather and reports. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer, you can go to CocoRoss and actually become a snow spotter. We do need snow spotters in Northwest Ohio, believe it or not. We have a lot in the Snowbelt region. So if you're interested in becoming a snow spotter, you can actually get information. You can take a picture of this and get information to become a snow spotter. All right, I'll move on. MPing. If you're in the education, and also if you're interested, this is not our website. This is through the University of Oklahoma and a collaboration with NOAA, and you can actually put in reports. This actually lights up, especially those times when the temperature's around 32, 31 degrees. You want to know if it's snow, is it rain? Especially some of the superintendents want to know, do I want to put buses out with kids where the temperature is 32 degrees or 31 degrees and it's freezing rain? They do want to know that. Again, don't assume that we know. Time, event, location, and thank you for helping us to protect life and property. That is all I have. And if you want information about this booklet that I handed out, I don't have too many. I need to order some. We used to hand them out a lot, but if you want information, you can actually go to that website or actually follow the QR code for more information. Thank you.
I appreciate it very much.
So if it's okay with you, Freddie, I will do a couple of screenshots of your communication at the end, and then I'll attach those to the email that you'll get on Monday. So you'll be able to know more about how to contact folks, and we'll talk about how much I can share. All right. Thank you so much. This was really fascinating. All right. Next week's session, will be a powerful armchair interview with 2 former Kent State students and a former Ohio National Guardsman, all of whom were on campus on May 4th, 1970, when 4 students were killed and 9 were injured. We will learn about the events that led to that tragic day, and we will hear firsthand accounts of student protests, the shooting, and the incredible feat of evacuating thousands of students in just a few hours. The thing that is really important is one of those students and the Ohio National Guardsmen have become really close friends. And this happened over a period of time, and the conversations were difficult. But I think it's a really wonderful example of how people can have 2 completely different perspectives, listen to each other, and have another perspective at the end. It's a really cool story, and I've been really proud to be a part of putting this together. So the parking cones are there for you. You can move a parking cone out, or you can squeeze your car in between it. We've asked for them to remove them so you can back right out, but they just don't have enough student help right now at this time of day on a Friday. So just know, please don't drive over them. If you do, it's okay. Somebody will help you get it out from underneath your car. But it's not a problem. But those cones are there to say to everybody else, these are for life at TU, folks. So please, don't worry about that. Okay, the one other thing that I want to tell you before you head out to lunch, we have a brand new program that is just for life at TU, members and friends. We have a new intergenerational TU book club that is going to be between TU students and Life at TU. So I'm going to read, we have a flyer up there. If you're interested, you can choose 1 to 3 books per semester that have been picked out by the senior resource librarian at TU. I'm reading the book that they did in September. We didn't get to go to that program, but it's called Mouse, and it's about the Holocaust. It's a graphic novel. I've never read a graphic novel before. Have any of you read a graphic novel? It's like a comic book, but in a book form. Novel. It is so wonderful. The Jews are portrayed as mice and the Nazis as cats, and it's just so powerful, so moving. There are 2 other books, and I won't tell you all about them now, but up at the table, there's a description. So if you're interested, you can go online, follow this website, or you can just call me, and I'll help you get hooked up. So take some of that. I can't think if there's anything else we have to do, but we're running a little bit late, so I'm just going to say thank you all so much for coming. Let's give Freddie one more round of applause. That was really great. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. All right, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.